We all share something deeply human, the desire to grow, to build, and to turn possibility into reality. Yet along this journey, challenges rise up before us like mountains. And in those moments, the path forward feels uncertain. But it is precisely in facing those moments that we discover the truth. Our dreams are not unreachable. They are waiting for us if we keep working. Every person here carries within them a dream, whether spoken aloud or quietly guarded in the heart. Dreams are not just ambitions or goals written on paper. They are the visions that give our lives direction. They inspire us to wake up earlier, stay awake longer, and push forward when comfort calls us to stop. But along with dreams comes the inevitable weight of difficulty. Obstacles are not proof that we are unworthy. They're proof that the journey matters. Think about it. If dreams were easily achieved, they would not be dreams at all. They would be simple tasks. Dreams demand resilience, patience, and relentless commitment. Too often, we misinterpret failure as the end, but failure, in truth, is only evidence of progress. Each setback is not a verdict against our ability, but rather a lesson, a sharpened tool for the next attempt. Consider the story of Abe. Before becoming one of the most admired leaders in history, he endured defeat after defeat. He failed in business, lost multiple elections, and faced personal tragedy. Most people, when confronted with such a succession of disappointments, would have abandoned the path. Yet Lincoln kept working. He refused to define himself by his failures. Eventually, he rose to become the President of the United States, leading a nation through its most divided and perilous chapter. And his story reminds us that resilience is not about avoiding hardship. It is about continuing in spite of it. Lincoln's legacy is not simply his presidency, but the unwavering spirit that carried him there. Permit me to share a more ordinary but equally meaningful story. Years ago, I worked alongside a colleague who had faced what seemed like an insurmountable barrier. She dreamed of becoming a published author, but every manuscript she submitted was rejected, sometimes without even being read in full. Rejection letters piled up in her drawer until one day she confessed. She was close to giving up, yet she did not. She kept working. She continued refining her craft, learning from each rejection, and pushing herself past discouragement. Years later, she finally received that long-awaited acceptance letter. Today, her book inspires readers around the world. Her journey illustrates what all of us must understand, that the difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who abandon them is rarely talent alone. It is persistence. Still, let us be honest. Persistence does not mean walking alone. Too often, motivational messages are framed as solitary quests, but each of us is part of a broader community. Our resilience is strengthened when we walk together, encouraging one another, sharing resources, and lifting each other in moments of doubt. History shows us countless examples of communities overcoming together. The civil rights movement in the United States was not carried by one individual, but by thousands whose collective courage reshaped history. Martin Luther King Jr. may be remembered as a central voice, but behind him stood men, women, and children whose determination to keep working made progress possible. So let us remember, pursuing dreams is not only about personal triumph, it is also about building pathways so that others may follow. When you rise, you make it possible for someone else to rise too. To keep working is not only about physical effort, it is also about cultivating the right mindset. Psychologist Carol Dweck introduced the concept of a growth mindset, the belief that abilities are not fixed, but can be developed through effort, strategy, and feedback. This mindset shifts the way we interpret failure. Instead of hearing, "you cannot," we hear, "not yet." Think about the implications. Every skill you desire, every mountain you hope to climb, every dream you hold dear. It is all within reach, not because you were born with every gift, but because you have the power to grow. When you embrace this truth, challenges no longer intimidate. They become evidence that you are stretching, learning, and moving forward. Dreams, however, are not achieved in bursts of inspiration. They are achieved through daily commitment. We often look at successful people and imagine they leapt from obscurity to greatness overnight. In reality, their overnight success was built over years of unnoticed effort. Thomas Edison, when asked about his thousands of failed attempts to create the light bulb, famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found sure ways that won't work." What sustained him was not luck or shortcuts, persistence. We too must learn to see each day as an opportunity to move a step closer. Whether that step is large or small, whether celebrated or unseen, progress is progress. The power lies not in perfection, but in persistence. Still, there is an obstacle even greater than failure. Fear of rejection, fear of ridicule, fear of not being enough. Fear convinces us to remain where it feels safe, where dreams cannot be tested, but also cannot be realized. To overcome fear, we must learn to act, even when doubt whispers in our ears. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it. Think of Malala Yousafzai, who, despite threats and violence, continued to speak out for the right to education. Her dream was not simply her own. It became the dream of millions of girls around the world. Courage is contagious, and it begins when one person decides that fear will not dictate their future. Friends, whether your dream is to build a business, write a book, lead a team, support your family, or make your community stronger, the path forward is the same. Keep working. Keep pushing through challenges, knowing that they are not signs of defeat, but signs of progress. Your dream matters because you matter. And when you pursue it, you not only honor your potential, you also inspire those who watch you to rise higher themselves. So I leave you with this challenge. Do not surrender to fear, and do not be disheartened by setbacks. Instead, take your dream, whatever it may be, and work for it every single day. Because the truth is simple. The world needs your dream, your courage, your persistence. So keep working, keep believing, and keep building the future that only you can bring.